In a small coastal town, where storms could change lives in an instant, two friends would discover a signal that no one else could hear, a signal that would test their courage, their friendship, and their strength. The quiet coastal town of Port Blossom nestled peacefully beside the sea, its rhythm dictated by the gentle tides and the distant cry of gulls. 14-year-old Ethan often found solace in its predictable calm, a stark contrast to the storm brewing offshore. But as the sun dipped below the horizon, the sky turned a menacing purple, and the full fury of the hurricane descended. Wind howled like a banshee, rain lashed against windows, and the entire town plunged into darkness as the power grid failed. The next morning, Port Blossom was unrecognizable. Roads were blocked by fallen trees, floodwaters crept into homes, and a pervasive silence, broken only by the distant rumble of the ocean, settled over everything. Power lines lay tangled, and self-service was completely out. Adults moved with grim determination, their faces etched with worry as they assessed the damage and organized cleanup efforts. The magnitude of the destruction meant their attention was entirely consumed by the immediate, tangible problems. Ethan, usually a quiet observer, felt even more invisible amidst the chaos. His attempts to help were often met with "run along, Ethan," or "stay out of the way," making him feel overshadowed and useless. Seeking a refuge from the busy, worried adults, Ethan retreated to the dusty sanctuary of his attic. It was a forgotten world of old furniture, boxes, and the lingering scent of mothballs, a place where he could just be. Tucked away on a forgotten shelf, beneath a stack of old fishing nets, he discovered a relic from his grandfather. A heavy, antiquated shortwave radio. Its polished wood casing and intricate dials promised stories from another time. Intrigued, Ethan carefully picked it up, running his fingers over its worn surface. He spent hours tinkering with the knobs, trying to remember what his grandfather had once told him about the old device, finding a new purpose in its complex mechanics. Later that afternoon, his best friend, Naomi, found him in the attic, her practical nature clashing with the dusty, nostalgic setting. "Still playing with that old thing?" she asked, but her eyes held a spark of curiosity. Together they meticulously followed the faded instructions. Ethan handled the delicate tuning, while Naomi adjusted the long extendable antenna, their shared focus bridging the gap between their different personalities. After what felt like an eternity, the radio crackled to life, filling the silent attic with a cascade of static. Then through the noise, a faint rhythmic series of beeps cut through, a distinct pattern in the chaotic soundscape. Ethan's eyes widened. "Naomi, do you hear that?" he whispered, pointing at the speaker. It was Morse code, faint but unmistakable, tapping out the international distress signal, SOS. A wave of adrenaline rushed through them. Excitement warred with a sudden chilling sense of responsibility. This wasn't just static, it was a desperate plea, a tiny thread connecting them to an unknown danger. They raced downstairs, breathlessly trying to explain their discovery to Ethan's dad, who was struggling to ration supplies in the kitchen. He listened patiently but dismissed it with a tired smile. "It's just static, guys. The storm must have played tricks with the old radio." Defeated but not dissuaded, Ethan and Naomi exchanged a look of fierce determination. No one believed them, but they knew what they heard. They returned to the attic, the faint SOS still echoing in their minds. Naomi unrolled an old water-stained nautical map, tracing lines with her finger, while Ethan, with a borrowed notepad, carefully transcribed the more frequent, slightly stronger signals that followed the SOS. They worked through the night, decoding fragmented messages, piecing together a terrifying picture. The signal was from the Sea Serpent, a local fishing trawler caught far offshore, damaged and taking on water. The messages grew more desperate, engine failing, losing power, listing heavily. Time was running out for the fishermen, and every crackle of static felt like a ticking clock in their quiet attic. A profound realization settled over them: they were the only ones who knew. With all communication lines down, their old shortwave radio was the sole link to the outside world, their only hope for rescue. Suddenly, Naomi slammed her hand on the map. "The lighthouse," she exclaimed. "It's the only place with a powerful enough transmitter that might still be connected to the emergency generator."